what's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of B is for Build. In today's episode, it's the MK4 Supra rebuild finale. To catch you up to speed, we bought this car at auction for $25,000 5 years ago. We went to Japan to pick it up, and during COVID times, we shipped it over to the United States. When it arrived here, it did not run. So we replaced the fuel pump and we made it run. Then we went after all the crash damage, which was extensive. We replaced the rear quarter panel, the front core support, and a lot of body panels. From there, it was on to paint, and we repainted it with the original silver color, and then we did power upgrades, doubling the horsepower of this car with an ETS turbo kit. And that brings us where we are today. We have a lot of fun body mods like different spoilers and splitters and things to add on this, some carbon fiber bits, and we need to do the final assembly and take it for a drive. Stay tuned. Real quick, I want to take a second out to thank our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by SimpliSafe. There is no safe like SimpliSafe. SimpliSafe is the creator of award-winning home security systems. I personally got into home security about 5 years ago when I walked outside of my house to see that 2 of my cars were up on blocks and my wheels had been stolen. After that, I got SimpliSafe, installed it in my home, had the cameras watching my cars, and thankfully, nothing has ever happened since. SimpliSafe has 24/7 protection by live SimpliSafe professional agents, and they're ready to dispatch police or firefighters or EMTs in the case of an emergency. And that's all offered for less than $1 a day, which is less than half of the cost of traditional home security competitors. And there's no long-term contracts, no hidden fees, and you can start and stop whenever you want. Some of my favorite things about SimpliSafe is the setup is super easy. Anybody can set it up. I set up this shop in less than 30 minutes. You don't have to make any service appointments with them. The stuff gets delivered right to your door, and the app is absolutely phenomenal. And like I said, there's no need to schedule a service appointment or wait around for a technician to show up. That can be very time consuming. You don't have to wait for installation experts to come into your home and install anything. You can do it all right from your home and it'll get delivered right to your doorstep. It's simple. That's why they call it SimpliSafe, I think. Guys, I love SimpliSafe. I would never live without it, and I think you're gonna like it too. So if you're ready to get started, you can save 20% off your home security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan, and you will get your first month's free. Head over to simplisafe.com/B is for build. It's on the screen right here. It's also at the top of the description. Again, that's simplisafe.com/B is for build. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring this episode. Let's get back to it. We're gonna go ahead and get started on some of the nitty gritty. I'm gonna pull up this plastic cowl right here and give it a fresh coat of cowl paint. You can get black paint that has a moisturizer in it too. It'll moisturize the plastic and then get it back to its original black color. That's gonna really help the look of this thing. And then Oscar in the back, we've got some weld marks where we did our quarter panel repair. So we're gonna seam seal that, or we're gonna paint first the gray color, and then we're gonna seam seal around it and spread the seam seal just in the same OEM factory style. Keep it as factory looking as possible. All right, got the cowl off and painted. Once that's dry, we'll go ahead and get this back on there. And over in the back, Oscar just wrapped up on the repairs in that back corner with the seam seal and the painting. Next up, we got to glue our rear quarter window back in. So to do that, you want to use some 3M window weld, and then see if I can focus in on the tip of this here. Cut a little notch into the tip there, and it's going to make a peak. You're going to cut a little bit bigger notch than that, and it'll make a peak as you're dragging this along the panel. So you drag it along all the way around the outside and then smush your window in there. Throw some tape in there. This one actually has bolts that make sure it doesn't sag, but you can put tape down too to make sure it can't sag. And that's how you glue a window back in. Oh, also primer the surface first. All right, got the cowl in. I decided to repaint the windshield wiper arms, so those are drying up right now. Got that rear quarter window in. Now Oscar's gonna go ahead and jump into the rear section. We need all of our interior back here in the rear. You can see we've got some new speakers. 30-year-old original speakers on this car just did not withstand the test of time. They're all broken, so we're replacing the speakers, and they'll pair nicely with our new stereo when we get it in there. Next up, Kyle and I are gonna remove runs from clear coat. This is the most boring job ever. It's gonna take forever, but let's get it done. So as you can see by the razor blade in my hand, we're gonna be using what is considered one of the more old school methods. It's a little bit slower, but it's very safe. I may go over another method later, or you can just look it up, where it uses body filler and sander, or in sanding, but I find that this method is a lot safer to not burn all the way through your clear coat. So we have a gnarly run here. This might be big enough that some paint shops would just scrap the whole project and repaint it, but we're gonna spend the hour plus to fix that one, and then that one, and well, however many more around here. So here's what we do. When we got a big glob like this, it's a bit of a liability. It can like rip off as you're crossing over it. So we might just lay the razor blade perfectly flat and cut that nub off. Now remember, when you're working with clear, you got a couple layers of clear before you hit the base coat, and you can mess with this clear and polish it back up, but you can't add any more really. You can in theory, but you shouldn't. So let me say I'm gonna start in this section right here, and I'm just gonna come through, and I'm just taking the head off of this guy, and I'll take the head off of this guy too. And we're not letting the razor blade go into the clear coat at all. The razor blade's not like diving down or controlling its own path here. We're holding it parallel to the panel. So that got the heads off of a few of them, and that's just gonna make our process faster. And then from there, we're dragging this along the run, and what that's doing is, and why we have tape on both sides, is the tape's not allowing the blade to be parallel with the panel, and it's also not allowing the blade to cut into the panel up here and here. So the middle of the blade is the only thing doing work, and then we're dragging with the blade at like a 45 across our run, and every time we go across this thing, it's taking off a little bit of that high part of the clear coat, and it's leaving the lower part. And we're gonna do this about 5,000 times, and we'll show you what it looks like in the end when it's all flattened out. There are no more runs on the car, there are just dull spots like this. Now, this is what it looks like when it goes really well. It's very hard to see, it's just dull. We've knifed it down, and yeah, it looks like that. So then the next stage, 600 grit, 1000 grit, 2000 grit. If you can get your hands on 3000 grit, you hit it with 3000, and then you hit it with a high cut polish, or buffing, high cut buffing, and then a medium polish, and you should be good to go. Now, here's what it looks like if we have a small accident. So we did it here, and if I can get the camera to play ball with me. This run was absolutely massive and had some massive imperfections in it, and what it ended up doing is the big globs of paint, the big puddles, some of them weren't completely dry, and it looks like they peeled up. So we should have another layer of clear underneath there to work with. So that's what we're gonna be sanding and kind of mixing those two in together, hopefully. There should be another layer of clear under there that we can work with. If not, we may have to dab some clear back in there. But so we made one mistake in one part, but everywhere else is good. Everywhere that you see tape on the car is a spot that we had to run. So there's several on the back bumper, there, up there, multiple spots on the door. Now the other side, no runs at all. So that tells me that something in the booth, I think it's the ability to take the distance away from the car really helps with painting, but that doesn't matter. Anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and wet sand, and then cut and polish, and we should have shiny results. Guys, no more runs. This was pretty epic. I've really never cut runs out like this before, and it worked fantastically. Like before, there's a huge run through here, there's a run up here. We honestly can't even see where we did the runs, where they were. So I know that there was a couple through here and on the door, and now everything is just bouncing the light perfectly. Now I will say the spot where we started actually did end up the worst. We always like to show like our mistakes along with the successes. So let me see, it's gonna be really hard to show you, but where we did have those the guys are all walking over here to look at us like
judging you,
really messing with the light. Hang on. So you can see where when we were razor blading off the run that it just kind of came all the way off. Even after we sanded and buffed around that, it doesn't look great. So we're gonna try and mix up some clear coat and dab it in there and then sand it down and then buff it out, and we'll see, and we'll let you guys know someday, probably on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram, BS for Build, if that works or not. But There's a few blemishes, but that's a small price to pay for the amazingness that is how the rest of it turned out. So I don't feel so bad about painting those runs in there anymore. Also, you might have noticed that Oscar finished reinstalling our rear interior. Got the back seats in there, the completely unusable back seats because they meet right up with the front seats, and everything else back here looking really good. That's the cool thing about buying these JDM cars. A lot of times the interior is freaking mint. Hey, these are done drying. I'm gonna put the windshield wipers on and install the front impact bar. I got the windshield wipers on and the front impact bar on as well. Gonna keep working on the front end. It's time for carbon fiber bits. So we got the front splitter / under tray is going on to the bumper. This gets bolted on in various different spots to the bumper. And then I'm also gonna fit all the lighting in the bumper. There's lights that go there and lights that go there. And then we should be able to get the bumper on the car for the last time. We got the carbon fiber splitter on. It looks really, really nice. We got the side markers, which I'm not a huge fan of. It's a little too chromy, blingy than just kind of like smoky clear. So I don't know. I might switch those to ambers. And unfortunately, I bought the wrong year model for this light right here. But that's something we can come back in and put in really, really easily. I just ordered them, the new replacement ones, but they in 97 through 99, they're a lot longer. And I accidentally got the more oval shape ones. So we're just going to leave those out for now. It's not a big deal, except there's just, you know, an empty hole right there. Now, when we went to test fit this thing, it's looking really good, except for, since we have the aftermarket massive intercooler, the intercooler piping is a little bit unexpected for this bumper. So we got to trim out right here, some space right here, same on the other side. And then on the bottom side here, there's an intercooler piping right around here that we're gonna trim a little bit of that out, and this thing should fit up. Damn, she looks good. All right, so a little trim around the intercooler piping, and we got the front bumper on there. Hood is not tightened down yet, so we're gonna go ahead and tighten down the hood, get that all bolted down, bolt the rest of the front top of the bumper down, and that should kind of wrap up this front end. It's looking mean. Love the ETS logo right there. Got the hood bolted down, got all the panel gaps dialed in, got that little JDM rubber stripping under hood stuff in there, so that's awesome. We're moving on this way. I was thinking side skirts would be next, but we can't put those on while it's on the jack, so we're gonna go ahead and move over to the rear. Carbon fiber rear diffuser. This bad boy needs to get mounted underneath the car. We're probably gonna have to cut a little bit to clear the exhaust, and then we have some rear kind of spat pieces that connect the rear to the diffuser that we wanna get on there as well. So it'll be a bit of a learning experience, but we'll figure out a way to mount this thing on here nice and sturdy. The first time we've ever installed a rear diffuser that we didn't build ourselves. I'm pretty happy about it. I really like the way that it looks. Really helps fill out the back area back here, because that area is kind of a little bit skinny looking on Supras, and it looks awesome. So next up, we got new tires on our wheels. We'll go ahead and get our wheels on here, get our side skirts on here, and we'll bring the car down. We officially have a completed Supra. So we got the rear hatch on there, and the thing that I guess we haven't talked much was about this eBay special wing. We put a lot of work in this to make it not look terrible, painted it, carbon fiber accents. So basically the idea is I wanted to have just kind of mild carbon fiber accents flowing through the car. So we have some on the wing, the rear diffuser, side skirts running into front lip. And that's all pretty much new as of the final installation. Now, it looks insanely good. Never mind the cowl there. We got to get those wheels to torque, right? We're going to lower the rear wheels down about an inch, but that'll be a little bit later on. We got new rubber on all the tires. I want to mention this. Our sponsor, Nitto Tires. Huge shout out to Nitto. I'll put a link in the description. Sent us out tires for this. I bought these wheels from TJ, and they're like really big tire in the back, and now we have a slightly big tire in the back. It's a 3 millimeters more on top and bottom, so 6 mil height total difference from that, which is close to 1/4 of an inch. Not a lot. And I think the wheel and tire combo looks really, really good. We just need to lower the back down just a touch, but we are losing sunlight. I want to go take this thing for a drive. Let's hop in and hit the streets. Oh my God. Just at a roll, rip the tires off in second gear. First time I jumped on the road. Oh man, this car is so wonderful. See, if when you just floor it even a second gear on a roll, if it's breaking the tires loose like that, think about adding 200-300 more horsepower. It's just really unnecessary. It makes it hard to drive because if you punch it, it just gets too squirrely on you. It's already too squirrely. Brand new sticky tires, and the thing's breaking loose in second gear. I don't know if that car honked at me because they like Supras or because right-hand drive and I was driving in their lane. Who knows? So pre-COVID, way before I'll put the date on the screen right here. I bought this car on Yahoo Auctions Japan, and I bought it for I think about $25,000. It was pretty badly crashed, and I wanted to do something pretty cool and go to Japan to see the car before we shipped it back over here. So I flew out to Japan and I went and saw my car before it got put on a cargo container, and then COVID hit a month later and everything froze for like over a year. By the time that we got this car back stateside, it actually didn't even start anymore. The guy said it started in Japan, but I never saw it run because the battery had a giant bolt through it. Oh, the turbo sounds are so good. The blow-off sound, so perfect. ETS really knocked it out of the park with this exhaust too, because it's not too annoyingly loud, but when you really get on it, which I will in a second here, it's epic. So anyways, we started from square one. We had a car that had no clutch, it wouldn't start. We had mechanical and obviously a lot of physical damage to the car. Oh, this car is such a good power level. It's just like, hang on tight, the wheels might break loose, and have fun. I love it. Anyways, this thing was crashed up and down, and we went on a little bit of a, one more. Oh! Once we got the body dialed in, called up our friends over at ETS and Garrett. Got a Garrett turbo and 2 Garrett wastegates, and ETS intercooler, exhaust system, and single turbo conversion kit, and that's why this turbo screams and sounds so good, and this car is so damn drivable. And now we're on stock ECU because we really wanted to keep drivability, which is something I love about this car right now. It's so easy to drive. The revs just stay right where you want to. There's no issues around the drivability, which I love, but we do have literally the best parts in the world on this car. So if we decide we want to turn it up, if we want to go crazy horsepower on this car, all the parts there, they're totally ready for it. This kit will support up to 1,000 horsepower, no problem. One more hole. Ah, this car is awesome. Beer? Beer? Corona? Cheers, gentlemen. To family. To family? You have to say that or Vin Diesel pops out of the side frame and beats the shit out of everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for checking out what is coming up next, i.e. boat stuff and then SEMA builds. It's gonna be pretty epic. I might have already gotten started on one right over there, but don't worry, it's not going very fast, so nobody's missing anything. Brought another JDM legend back from the dead. Let us know what we should do next. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.